Does your work energize you? Does it make your impact on the world? Welcome to Start Anew, the show that looks beyond success into freedom, fulfillment, and your passion-driven career. Join your host, Sumbul Sang, for inspiring stories and bite-sized training to help you start anew with clarity. And now, here's Sumbul.
Our guest today is Tanner Gers. Tanner is a Paralympian, motivational speaker, author, entrepreneur, husband, and an all-around high performer in sports and life. He's also the founder of the Athlete Summit and host of the Creative Success Show. Tanner, welcome to the show, and please take a moment to fill any gaps in that intro and give us just a glimpse into your personal life.
Sumbul, thank you so much for having me. So happy to be here. Well, you hit it right on. But yeah, so that's pretty much me. I'm, all American kid growing up. But when I was 21, I was in a really bad auto accident, and that ended up causing me to lose my vision. So I went from 20/20 to totally blind. So all I see is black now. There's no shadows, no functional vision whatsoever to speak of. And so I've been living independently since I learned how to live like a blind man, and just started to grab life by the horns, went back to school, graduated from college, started playing sports, started satisfying my entrepreneurial spirit, and just really am focused on serving other people and, supporting them to live their dreams and to achieve creative success in their life, no matter, regardless of circumstance. And so each day I'm doing various things because as you said, I'm a Paralympian, I'm a pro athlete, so I train a lot. I do my best to eat well every single day. I meditate. I have my own podcast. I monitor and update and blog on my websites. And of course, I have also the opportunity to sit down with awesome individuals like you. So that's a little bit about my life and what I do from day to day.
Tanner had an awful car accident at age 21 that broke every bone in his face, broke his spinal column, and he suffered a severe brain injury that eventually left him blind. Tanner, take us back in time when you found yourself blind, angry, depressed, and weak. Really tell us that story, your emotions, and your inner dialogue at that time.
Oh my gosh, great question. And as anybody can imagine, when you have a huge traumatic change in your life, whether that's, a death in the family of someone you really love and you're really close to, or in my case, you lose something that we all take for granted, your vision. It was very depressing for me. Like I said, I was this all-American kid growing up, so that kind of means, that I played all different kinds of sports and, went to school and volunteered, and I was getting ready to go into the military and serve the United States. And to wake up totally blind, coming out of a drug-induced coma totally blind and not really understanding what's going on and that this is a permanent change for the rest of my life. The inner dialogue was not supportive. It was not looking forward to the future. I was riddled with anxiety, severely depressed, deeply depressed. And at the same time, I have all these medical issues and all these doctor's appointments. I have an infection on my brain that's killing me. I have another infection in my sinus cavity that is eating my eye and is the most painful thing you can imagine. I'm getting these psychological evaluations. I'm going to the infectious disease doctor. I'm having surgery after surgery. including 4 brain surgeries, reconstructive surgeries, skin grafts. Part of my face, part of the structure in my face is literally sticking out of the skin. I'm so severely damaged physically, and it just doesn't look good. I don't feel good. I feel like my life is pretty much over. And, the big shift for me was one day when I was sitting in the kitchen listening to my mom cook dinner. And I'm at this time in my life, I'm so weak, I'm so thin, I can barely even hold myself up. And so I'm often bent over, just hanging my head. And I'm listening to my mom cook dinner, and that was around dinner and food. I'm from southern Louisiana in the United States, and we're really big. It's a really big food culture and family culture. So I'm really excited about food because that was kind of the only happiness that I had in any day. And at this time, so I'm hunched over, I'm listening to my mom cooking food. My dad comes around the corner and he says, "Chin up." And I normally respond to that, but I didn't. And so he knew something was wrong today, more than normal. And he comes and he sits down next to me and he says, "Tanner, what's wrong? What can I do to help?" I said, "Dad, there's nothing you can do. I'm blind. And, my life is over. It's meaningless. I'm helpless. Dad, my life is worthless." And he says, he waits on that and he says, "Tanner, I understand. I understand it's tough right now, but that is not the attitude you need to have. Tanner, you could be blind and you should be in a wheelchair. Tanner, you could be blind in a wheelchair and mentally you should be a vegetable. Tanner, you should be dead." And he paused for a moment. Let me think about that. And he said, "Tanner, you're right. I can't do anything for you right now, but it could always be worse." And that moment, that perspective shift, that perception allowed me to realize that I still have an opportunity to make something of myself, to make something of my life, and really reflect on the existing skills that I do have, and become aware, more powerfully so, become aware of the potential that I have. But it's going to be up to me to live up to that potential. That was, really kind of the insight, what was going on inside me at that moment in my life.
It could be worse. Thanks to these powerful words from your dad, you now have a positive perspective on your situation. Now tell us how you went from that point in your life to being a pro athlete and a Paralympian.
I was blind for several years before I even knew about sports for the blind. And there was this moment when, after my dad had, shifted my perception on what I need to do in my life and how everything could be worse, I was digging around in the closet and I came across this piece of leather. I was looking for something, and while doing so, I came across this piece of leather and I was like, "What is this?" And I pulled it out, and immediately I knew it was my baseball glove. And I put it on and I pretended to catch a ball and, going through the motions physically, and I crow hop and I throw the player out at home like, many kids imagine doing the big play at home. And I stopped myself and I said, "Tanner, this part of your life is over." And it was this moment of coming to terms with things and moving on. And so I put the glove back in the closet, and then fast forward 4 years later, I'm going to school full time. I'm working full time. I had just purchased a home, about 2 years earlier. And, so I'm motivated. I'm creating things in my life, and I'm really going full speed ahead. And one day, after a long day, it was school. I had an 8-hour shift. I'm gone all day. I'm out of the house before 7, and I get home about 10:30. And I catch the news, and right at the end of the news here in the United States is the sports. And there's a blind baseball team locally. And that just threw gasoline on my pilot light, the pilot light for my life. And, the next day I'm out, or the next weekend I'm out there and I'm playing, and I have a lot of success with baseball. And that really sparked me getting back into athleticism and developing my physique and my talents. It was for the first time ever I had the opportunity to really express myself physically in an arena where I am not at a disadvantage. The playing field is level, and I was super motivated by that. I had a lot of success playing beep baseball, and you can check out more at National Beep Baseball Association, nbba.org, just nbba.org. And so because of that success, I was introduced to track and field. And, that's how I got on the path to becoming a Paralympian and transitioning into, the holistic lifestyle that I live now, where I balance work and family and my body. That was my transition.
Tanner, thank you for sharing your story with us. Starters, that's a wrap for today. Don't forget to tune in to the next episode for part 2 of my interview with Tanner, when he shares the lessons learned from his experience of overcoming adversity, surviving, and thriving from it. He also talks about his daily habits that you can model to make progress towards achieving your goals.
Thanks for joining us for this episode of the Start Anew Show. We invite you to be more than a passive listener. Be a starter. Join our community and snag exclusive freebies from Symbol and her guests at letstartanew.com. Create your vision of freedom and fulfillment right here on the Start Anew Show.